Good morning and welcome to Dateline New Haven. I'm your host, Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the headlines on the stories that make New Haven tick. Nothing ticks better than Pundit Friday, which we're about to begin here in the WNHH studio with the number one pundits in the media universe. Pundits like, oh no, we don't have Babs Ivy today, the boot got her.
Oh, man.
Our thoughts are with you, Babs, as you battle Crown Street, Union Avenue, whatever else you got to do to get those wheels back. But we still got a full house. We got the flyest news hunter-gatherer this side of Fleet Street, boss of the Budget Beat, and the Beauty Beat star New Haven Independent reporter,
Happy
Marquisha
Friday,
Riggs.
people.
We have another star New Haven Independent reporter in the studio, the unstoppable Lucy Gilman.
Oh, very kind.
The ever-ready battery.
That's right, that is true. She does. The queen of quippery and quintessence of compassion, our den mother of decision-making, my voice is Spanish publisher.
You're listening to
Yes. See, no more you grow and your name.
I know.
And let us give some respect to the bravest man in New Haven, WNHA station manager, and unapologetic Donald Trump fan, yes, even still. Harry Rose. We do have one other person in the studio.
Yes.
He is the sentinel of serenity, sincerity, and salvation.
Yes.
The poobah of unparalleled political passion and perspicacity. The righteous reaper of restitution, Mr. Top 2%er. The exalted expostulator of extemporaneous exegesis, bossa nova, mover, and shaker. The griot of the grassy knoll. The conquistador of cussing criminals. Keeper of the cure. Weaver of wellness and wisdom. Mellifluous and meritocratic miner of melody, the plow driver of peace, the driver out of demons, discord, and dissonance. He's the optimizer of opulence and opportunity, the undertaker of unfiltered utterance, the erudite earl of ergonomics, the liberated lion of lucidity, a maniacal monarch of mercy, the blistering barbecue of brain-dead bozos, our executioner of existential enemies, the alchemist of assonance and alliteration, the zealous zapper of xenophobia, sagacious sergeant Sultan the swing quintessential quipper of quotable quackery, the grandee of grandiloquence and gastronomics. He's our prize protector against pusillanimity, the distinguished duke of diplomacy and detente, the king of conspiracy concoction, the deacon of the dozens, the bodhisattva of battle rap, missionary of modesty, mesmerizer of the master, shaman of the shoreline, potentate of 360 state, the recognized ringleader of risque repartee, the eighth wonder of the world, wizard of wise guy waggery, the capable of casual conversation, first name in flame, daring don of dope deliberation, sultan of spit, West Indian whisperer of wonk, emperor of explosive exposition, esteemed elucidator of ebonics, top-tier talent from Trinidad and Tobago, the dap-tone deliverer of decency, the maximal medio maestro, bodacious bold-faced barista of bop, chess master of chill, primo practitioner of pop prestidigitation, the beyond just somewhat honorable high priest of his hip-hop, right reverend of rapture, reigning raconteur of rectitude, sanctified slayer of slow-witted, the never late for supper, decorated dazzling and indefatigable dunker and dryer of the dinner dishes, maximum mixologist Joe Ugly of the Joe Ugly Show in the morning. Welcome, everyone.
See you next week.
This Marquisha so jealous.
I'm not jealous. I just have things to do. Paul promised that I was off after 11 o'clock today.
Well, we still got a minute left.
Oh.
Boy, you've had a lot going on. You, Lucy, and the crew, Chris Peak.
You're not allowed to leave anymore.
I know. I was up on the metaphorical mountain, the Jewish holiday Shavuot, where other people eat cheesecake, and I was listening to the Ten Commandments being read as told to Moses, and heard a joke about how Moses came down the second time with tablets, and he said, "Good news and bad news. We got the tablets back, but no adultery is still in the mix." So actually, I didn't think it was a very funny joke, but that was told at my synagogue from the pulpit. I'm the late night study session of Shavuot. But back on Earth in New Haven.
Oh, yes.
Lots been going on as we get to the lead up of the close of the state legislative session. Now, everyone has, I understand, the little snoring going on and the no-dos getting popped out there, state legislative session capital. But half our budget comes from the state of Connecticut. And what we're allowed to do and not do comes from the state of Connecticut. And they always argue what to do. And this year, there's been a lot of plans what can make things better or worse for how we lock up people, whether solitary confinement or not, whether we're going to get $31 million, which now we're hoping is going to be $21 million extra dollars so we can balance our budget. And just all this stuff happens at the last minute of the session last week, and that's when maneuvering happens. And Marquise Ricks, you were up there at the Capitol this week, and there was a rally trying to get over the line with two criminal justice reform bills. Because again, the oxygen's been taken out of the room of the Capitol with the budget crisis. We have $5.1 billion deficit over the next 2 years, but there's still stuff people care about that affects our lives that is in the balance. And two of those are bills being pushed by our own State Senator Gary Winfield and State Rep Robin Porter, which what would it do? Ban solitary confinement?
It would severely restrict it. It would restrict it for people who are juveniles, restricted for those who have.
I mean, you can't do it if you're juvenile.
You can't do it if you're juvenile. For folks who have mental or physical disabilities, and additionally, for the people who do end up in confinement, the state would have to do a better job of reporting who's in there, why are they in there, how long have they been in there, that sort of thing.
And who would be monitoring these reports?
That's a good question.
The public, at least, make them public available to people
Yes.
who care. Now, would they limit the time an adult can be put in there?
I think they're limiting it to I think it's no longer than 15 consecutive days, because I think the standard is or at least what advocates against solitary confinement have said is that 15 days is basically torture, and people who've been in the corrections business tend to believe that as well.
Now, listen, the problem isn't just in New Haven. We've been hearing horror stories all over the country where people get for like 9 months they've been in solitary, and it makes you nuts. It is torture. And on the other hand, we've been defunding our governments, although we have fewer inmates than we used to have.
Absolutely.
And that's been, despite Jeff Sessions' best effort, that could continue, since 90% of inmates in America are in state prisons, not in federal jails. So Harry's buddy Jeff Sessions is going to screw things up in the federal jails, but 90% will still be controlled by both conservatives and liberals, Republicans and Democrats, who have a consensus outside of the nuts in the White House that society's better off, criminals have a better chance of stopping being criminals in the future, that we can spend less money as taxpayers if we stop locking up the majority of nonviolent offenders for so long. But so now what are you hearing? What some of the hard stories you heard about solitary confinement? Was it as bad in Connecticut as we heard in some other states?
Yes, quite frankly. So Connecticut has a supermax facility, Northern Correctional, and essentially the way solitary confinement is meted out in almost every place, including Connecticut, is that you are in confinement, separated from other inmates for up to 22 hours a day. So you don't have any human contact. So think about this. If you're, I thought some of the information that was shared was really interesting about how it impacts somebody who's elderly. So if you're elderly, you already have certain chronic conditions probably. So you're locked up and you're isolated from people all day long, except for the time that you get out in the yard, I guess, to walk around and stretch your legs. You might end up with a vitamin D deficiency, which is going to lead to broken bones. If you have any cognitive issues, they're going to probably further decline.
I thought the thing is you go nuts.
I mean, that's a big part of it, but there are other things, other ways that you can come to harm. It's not just that you go crazy.
Which matters.
It does matter.
But how many months were there stories here of 9 months? I believe there was a 7 month with Sheldon Tucker. How long was he in and he was in pre-trial? He was one of the people, Barbara Fair's son, who was testifying about this.
Oh, he didn't really speak. He just kind of.
And obviously, we feel for the correction guards who sometimes have to maintain order, and people go in there have obviously been, sometimes at least, usually causing some kind of trouble in the general population, try to keep things in order. I think it speaks to our inability to solve some of the larger problems going on from justice, and it gets dumped at the hands of security guards. Prison guards and inmates, and trying to figure out what to do.
Oh, she's back.
Oh, but hey, back from the boot. Is that
great.
Babs?
Great.
She's wearing the boot like a professional.
Babs Rolls Ivy, you got your car back.
No, it's not back yet, but it's paid.
Well,
so
join us. Babs Rolls Ivy, the dairy-free goddess of our radio operation, is in the studio. She's back from her rest of the boot. We're going to hear about that in a minute. But first, I'd like to know, genuinely, Harry Jones, I know that you don't have the same opinion about criminal justice, or that you feel that there's a reason to get tough with people, even if they're arrested on nonviolent offenses. Sometimes that's really, we just got them on that, but if they're doing something deeper, they don't always turn their lives around when they get the chance. That how do you feel about this move to rein in solitary confinement?
I don't know, because I actually don't have an opinion on it, because I think I would like solitary confinement myself.
She's like, I'd like to be alone.
Yeah, I would like to be left alone.
That's a choice, though.
But
I don't know.
Do you get the book? Do you get to have books in solitary confinement? I didn't think so.
I don't think so.
Oh, nothing.
No, I don't think you.
Anyway,
get
I would
any,
think that too in jail.
particularly if you're like somebody that they think might cause themselves some type of harm,
And it is a torture technique used to break down people and try to get them confess in police states. I'm not saying that's used here.
or just to break you in general. Like if you are defiant or resistant in any way.
And you read the prison memoirs of how people use this incredible concentration. Those who emerge from jail stronger and deal with adversity. They
And we use solitary confinement sometimes just what we say to protect one inmate from other inmates. So at the same time, you're like contributing to somebody's like mental like harm by trying to protect them from physical harm. But there's no other standard way to like protect an inmate.
So how does it look, Babs, when you're up there?
Like imprisonment.
Does it look like this bill's going to pass?
Gary Winfield said that no bill is dead until Wednesday at midnight. So, and I don't know what that means because I've covered a legislature where if it doesn't get on the calendar, then it's dead. Like they can genuinely say.
And I know at the end of the session
and
they don't get everything on the
it's not
calendar.
that way. If it just seems like anything can happen still up until
The
midnight.
legislative leadership gets to bring stuff up or attach it to bills. Babs, did you have feelings about solitary confinement?
I mean, I think the problem I have with solitary confinement
You know,
is
you
that
got, unfortunately, you got the lead mic, so you need to get real close, got to kiss it.
Raise it all the way up.
I think the problem I have with solitary confinement is that it's not judiciously allocated. That I think it's sometimes at the whim of if some CO feels some way about you,
Corrections officer.
Corrections officer feels some kind of way about you, or if somebody has an axe to grind, or any of that. Because we've seen cases where people have been in solitary confinement for reasons that did not fit the crime. And I don't know what crime you commit that warrants solitary confinement for these ridiculously long periods of time.
And it's the length of the time that's been an issue. Now, you were in federal custody, not state. What
Right.
did you notice when you were behind bars, the federal bars? Was it used much? Was it used as a threat? How did the guards?
Well, you know, because I was in the camp, the camp is very sort of open, and so I wasn't in the.
But nobody in that camp ever acted out, needed to be kept.
Oh yeah, but the first day I got there, you went to the shoe.
What's the shoe?
The shoe is where they.
That's SHOO.
SHUE stands for I think it's solitary, some kind of solitary confinement kind of thing. And since I was only there for 29 days, the woman that I saw go in, she got out just before I left. So I saw her coming, and then I saw her as I was
She was
going.
in for a whole month.
So she was in there for a whole month.
So even in a camp where people are considered, low risk offenders and all that,
Yeah.
they still have solitary confinement.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you do something, and I think her, she was fighting with another woman. She was fighting with another
So if
inmate.
she fights another one for months, she's going to be solitary.
Yeah.
What happens if someone picks a fight with you and you have to worry you're going to get blamed? Because don't they often throw both in? Or?
Oh well, in this particular case, this woman was the aggressor, and it was clear that she was the aggressor. So the other woman didn't go. This woman went.
And what was the
Why
general
was it-
feeling about the? I'm sorry, Joe. What were you asking?
I want to know, how did they know it was clear that she was the aggressor?
Because the officers were there. So this wasn't one of these isolated things where like it happened out of somebody's
my
view.
thing about this is that I'm deeply concerned about isolation of people that are incarcerated, because most people that are incarcerated are there, believe it or not, there are a lot of mental issues connected to it. So when you pile on separation on top of it, I think it just adds. It just makes it worse for someone. Here's my issue. If the person is not doing life, eventually they're coming back to society. And the more you mess them up in there, and they come back to society and can't connect, it's the worse off society is going to be.
Well, now I'm completely in favor of this bill, and I think most people are, including probably corrections people. But I do feel for corrections officers who have difficult situation in jail sometimes about how they're going to deal with someone who's making safe every no.
No, when we go,
Not endorsing this idea of locking people in solitary for a long time. Just saying that a lot of times we dump a lot of these unanswered questions and difficult challenges without the money, without the going root causes on the people we're paying in those unpleasant jobs to deal
But you
with.
see, Paul, here's what the thing that concerns me is, who's the individual that's really going to say, okay, that's long enough? Who's the expert in that department?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the monitoring. As Mark is saying, not sure who's going to be reading it. Are people? Or is the ACLU going to pay attention to it? Will inmate rights? Norma, you look like you wanted to say something.
You know,
Please get close there.
there's a classic movie, Shawshank,
Right.
okay,
Mhm.
about this solitary confinement. We're talking about local, state, and federal confinement. What about military? I got some war stories of
Right.
some of our
Sure.
kids
Mhm.
who were fine when they went into the military. And
Well-
when they came out,
Was it because of solitary confinement?
yes.
Yeah,
Wait, tell us about
If
that.
you end
What
up
happened?
In, yeah,
Norma?
if you end up in the likes of Leavenworth, or you go into one of the Stocky, I recall in Mannheim, Germany, that was the holding house.
When you were in the
And
military.
When I was in the military, Coleman Barracks was Stocky, and the things you hear, you go by Coleman Barracks sometimes, you just hear people just screaming sometimes. You know, it's like it's military prisoners, jail. It's a lot different. You end up in Leavenworth, where just call it a wrap.
So what did you hear, Norma, from people who were put in military solitary confinement?
There was this one particular kid that I know that he was from our church. He went in and he was
You
fine.
go closer, Norma.
He was fine. He went into the military and bought a car. And I guess at that time couldn't afford it. And him and couple of buddies decided that they were going to burn the car to collect insurance.
Yeah.
Obviously, they got caught.
Right.
When you're going to do something, you got to do it by yourself.
Well, no,
You
I
don't do it with other people.
Is that the message?
I'm like, wait, where
going?
You're not going to tell it yourself.
Or you could just tell it among friends on Friday Pundits on WNHH Radio, which you're listening to. At your home for community radio at 102.5 FM. Live streamed at newhavenindependent.org. We're doing Friday Pundits with running down the week's headlines. That was Ivy back from the boot. Marquisa Ricks, Norma Rodriguez Reyes, and Harry Joe. So Marquisa, you and Chris Peak are going to keep us up to date next week about what happens with this, what happens with the police accountability bill they have up there.
Blog the bitter end.
Blog, ooh, I love that. Blog the bitter end. Ooh, that's a good one. And about the big Union Station fight. So this continues going on, guys.
My
There's the
God.
political drama about who's going to
Years.
get control. Union Station, the city or the state, and who's going to own it. Are they going to transfer ownership through a bill that the state wants to hold on to it, the city wants it? It's a gem, a financial jewel. But also for us, the issue is in the public, what's going to happen with Union Station? The city has visions of building up. There's going to be a second garage. They want it to be lined with stores. They want to double or triple the amount of commercial space inside. From 1,600 to 4,600 square feet inside the Union Station, including opening up the balcony, having a restaurant cafe inside and outside. Marquisa, this week you read a plan the city put out, and they're going to talk about it more Friday afternoon as the session ends. And why are they putting it out now? It's a 100-year plan, apparently, if I don't prove it, which really what it looked like to me was a 3-stage way to free up the money to first put a garage, make repairs in the station, build that garage into more of a transit-oriented development, multi-use facility, and then in the third stage and all together like something like $61 million. Make it a big thing. The state says, look, the money's for a garage, period, a garage. You have other projects in that area. You've been wanting this garage for a long time. You take it or leave it at the garage. And the state says, you can't run this well. The city says, we are the ones who saved it when you wanted to trash it. What was the timing of the release of this city report for long-term change design in the station?
I think the timing has to do with the state getting some news, particularly Hartford, that Aetna is looking to move its headquarters, which I think Aetna was founded here in Connecticut, like it's been here forever.
And we were the insurance capital that keeps
Exactly.
waning.
And so, and Hartford's on the verge of possible bankruptcy.
You might as well be like the thug capital of the world. I mean, to be the insurance company, these health insurance companies, their whole business model is to take our money and not give us health insurance. I don't get why a lot of people want them.
Well, that's such another topic.
I think Governor Malloy would hate you for saying those things because he just told reporters on Wednesday that we're still in position to be the best place for insurance companies to have their business. So yeah.
Anyway, Aetna said they might move their headquarters.
They might move their headquarters. They have about 5,600 employees here in the state. If they move their headquarters, it would take them at least 200 of those employees out of here.
Where are
So-
they trying to go?
Who's this?
I'm not sure where
Well,
they're
the
going.
guess was New York because the CEO loves to hang out in New York. He posts all these
Yeah.
blog eyes of New York.
And so that's a really interesting
But that's not
thing.
many jobs out of it.
That's not many jobs, but they may ultimately reduce the size of their force in Connecticut. Like, I mean, literally what at least 2 companies have said in recent years, GE, now Aetna, is that other states and cities are more fun. Hartford isn't fun. Like, our employees and particularly the CEO, I don't want to live here.
That's interesting you bring that up, Markeisha, because they're hanging this as a noose around Malloy's neck, the Democrats' neck. They say, who lost GE? GE moved their headquarters. They pretended a little bit. It was about, we don't like to pay taxes. You know, states should compete to pay us to have the privilege of making money in your community. The truth was, it was very clear from what GE wrote in its own documents that it went to Boston because it wanted an innovative tech center. It wanted some place that would be the synergy with universities and other generators of a workforce of high-tech people. And that actually requires more investment, not less, from the government. It actually requires, and I hate to say it's already hold years, taxes. You actually got to raise money if you want to invest in infrastructure and making places into hubs. So it's easy to get the headline, GE moves, now Aetna, boy, are they screwing up everything, and stop taxing us, this conservative chant. When in truth, I think it actually points up to something opposite. I'd love to hear what resident Donald Trump supporter Harry Jones has to say about that. Am I wrong about that, about Aetna and GE?
I don't understand what you would be wrong about. My thing is just, how do you keep the businesses here? What's your plan to keep them here?
Well, the argument here being, I don't pretend I know how to do this, Harry. But the argument based just on this evidence is that you need more public investment in a workforce that can be innovative and these people can hire to do new things. To have these tech hubs like we're developing in New Haven, the state's trying to help us. Marquisha was there a week earlier. We made a pitch for a $5.5 million state grant to build on that hub. That it actually involves public investment, not in corporate welfare to companies like Alexion that come and then try to rip off the world and end up in 5, police investigations and all the top brass is leaving. More like creating the conditions where innovation exists. But also the other thing is that Marquisha said they actually believe some of it has to do with it, and they did some kind of study that Hartford Current cited, that CEOs just like to be in fun places. And Hartford is death.
But you know,
I would
Paul,
not. I mean, solitary confinement is horrible, and that's worse. But then there's Hartford.
But you know something that
Ouch.
I have to agree with you on that.
But the thing about Hartford has always been this place where after 5 o'clock it goes to a ghost town.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because no one lives downtown, unlike New Haven where we have people living. So just look at this.
But some of that was public investment. We did a minor amount of public investment that I'll admit I was wrong in opposing back in the day, where we built this whole downtown infrastructure with the new sidewalks, with the renovation of the theater. And then there was a lot of private investment that now is really paying off on all these apartments. But also in Hartford, I would say that those same insurance companies were part of the secret Brahmins who ran that state. Norman, you know what I'm talking about. That Hartford was always these buttoned down. They were against creativity.
Right.
They took anyone who was going to challenge, do things different, be creative. And they were these real kind of buttoned down, unelected people who ran that city and made it what it was, just like a greedy, soulless place. And so now they're
like
paying.
These companies are like gentrifiers, though, right? So think about the thing that you just laid out here, that they were these button down, non-creatives. They didn't want to live in the city because they have whatever connotation about
They want to be
what
black or
Hartford
brown
is.
people. Yeah.
And so they live out in the burbs, and then they're like, oh, this is boring. I want to be where it's cool at. So now I'm going to move
Where
into
the
this
black
place
and
where
brown
everybody
people
else
are.
has made things cool, where everybody else has made these investments to make this a cool place. And here they show up, it's like, oh, this is where I want to live. That
Downtown.
sucks.
You know,
That
if you do, one of the reasons why New Haven
sucks.
is the thriving city when you compare it to all the other Connecticut cities is because New Haven has a very large middle class population.
Actually, that's not true.
You cannot have
New Haven City does not have it. We've lost the middle class. We are poor and rich.
All rich.
well, that started happening since when? Are we poor and rich?
20 years. 10
Okay?
years.
The whole thing is you have a lot of people bleeding the city.
8 years ago.
They're
Correct.
bleeding the city.
Correct.
They want to work and make their money in the city, but then they don't want to invest in the city, and then they blame who? When you have too many poor people, and DeStefano said this, when you have too many poor people in one area, that is not good. You have to be able to intermingle all the different, the different, not only ethnic groups, but
Economics.
also economically.
And I would argue that some of it happened organically because we're a university and medical city. There actually was this kind of, now we couldn't thrive as well as Stanford or the area on MIT, was it 128? Because we didn't have quite the same level of engineering talent. Yale was still in engineering, but once Yale invested more in the cities, once it became a fun place for all the arts, which is not just Yale, but Yale definitely is a factor in it. You had these young people who decided it's fun to live here, and empty nesters who wanted to come live, and we made the housing available. I think that's part of what happened. And
That's
I think
what
some
I was
of
saying about Hartford, Paul. It's like, there's no investment in housing. People living there, because if there are people living there, you have a need to have restaurants, because they have restaurants, but they're not
They
after
do.
5 o'clock.
And they have
close.
theater, they have
They have a
restaurants,
lot of stuff there.
but you're
There might be
right.
people there.
Nobody lives downtown. Because when I worked in Hartford, I
It was a
remember
ghost
thinking
town.
it's a great looking city, right?
Great
There's
looking
nobody here.
But after 5 o'clock,
After
it's
5
gone.
o'clock, and definitely on a Friday,
And I'm
that
talking,
city
this
is a
goes back to
ghost town.
1985.
But I
Yeah.
think it's the
86
lack
when
of
I was
soul.
there.
I think it was the unelected
87.
Brahmins who had disgust and little interest in the needs or of the people who lived in the city, did not deal them into decision making. I think we had a much messier and robust and productive process in New Haven deciding
So-
what we wanted to be.
on that thought process, let's bring it back to New Haven for just a second, right? So in the story that Brian and I did today about the city unveiling its plan, I have some remarks there from the governor about the need to invest in cities. And he mentioned New Haven quite a bit and mentioned New Haven as a success story, right? So it's very interesting to me that the city has this plan. It wants to take control of Union Station. Malloy's never endorsed that plan. In fact, he told them a while back it's going to be a garage.
And his transit commissioner is fighting.
And is fighting the
And partly they
takeover
want
of
the
that.
money too, right? They're trying
Oh,
to
absolutely,
sweep for past due
absolutely.
bills.
And they definitely don't want to turn over Union Station for a couple $1 million or whatever it is.
And neither should.
But at the
actually,
same
we should.
time, I think the city is also saying to the state that you said you have a vision. We
What
got
is-
one on paper. You don't have it.
And Markeisha and I had talked about this a while ago. The state is not known for business development. They're not known for economic development, so they need to get out
Or
the
at
way.
least not out of the Department of Transportation.
Well, I don't know where in the state where
There's an
they.
economic
Well, they have the
development.
First Five program that helps greedy dishonest companies like Alexion build new towers and then turn into
And
new
we see
apartment
how that
buildings.
which is going to be my new housing.
Yeah. Are you going to have us up?
As soon as I'm not
Yeah,
like
that's
Joe
right.
Ugly.
Are you gonna be, is your apartment going to be higher? Is your apartment going to be higher in the air than Joe Ugly's
I think
in
it is.
60 State?
Yeah,
She's like, I'm trying to get your view. Thank
yeah,
you.
it's going to be high.
But
So
I
I'll be
think
able
that
to
is
see
a
him.
fascinating
Yeah, look at
strategy
each
from
other.
the city to say, put up or shut up. We have a plan. You all haven't laid out anything. You keep talking about these upgrades that you want to do and why you can't turn it over to the city. Put up or shut up.
And we've done economic development successfully in this city.
And we've
And
run
so-
Union Station for 35
So
years.
then the
and
state
you
says,
let
well,
it go
look,
by.
state says, look, we've given you a lot of money for stuff, and look what you've done around the train station. You let Church Street South go to pot and let some greedy developer run
But
the place
again, the
down.
city can still come back and say, we have a plan for Church Street South.
Okay, then they're going to say,
We
let's
have a
go 2
plan for
blocks
building
down.
downtown.
When I heard back from the
Oh,
state
the
come back,
Coliseum.
the Coliseum site, we knocked down the Coliseum. We offered
But
you
that's still the state
$21
saying,
million to rebuild
you
the
haven't
streets.
delivered,
Paul,
but the state
Paul,
has no
Paul.
actual plan. They've never laid out
But
something
wait, the
and
state
said,
did. The
this
state
is
said
all
we'll
we're
give you
gonna do.
$21 million to rebuild the streets on the
Stop.
Coliseum. And
Stop.
it's years later and you got no plan happening there.
Stop. You're messing with my view now.
So it's not going to be as tall
Joe,
as your
you're so
apartment.
selfish.
Joe, you're on the 99th floor of
When
360
you-
State. That thing is not getting up that high.
Paul,
It's a
you
nice
see the
view.
highway from my view?
I did.
That goes away with a 6-story building.
You'd rather see the highway
The
than to
highway's
see an interesting
beautiful.
place. The highway.
We have a view of the bridge.
Just watching the cars going back and forth. And just
Joe, you're still going to see the
you
cars
feel like
going
stuff
back
coming
around
into the
it.
city, stuff going on.
You can
It's a lot.
see
Yes.
expanse and
You can see
the
the
prosperity.
Thank
that
God we
is
don't.
given.
You know?
Thank God we don't hang economic development
on
on
Joe Ugly's
on
view.
Joe's
Well,
view.
who's got a violin here? This is the Joe
Oh, the
Ugly
little
Sympathy
tiny
Hour.
violin.
No, actually,
wherever
it's-
you want to. I want to see my cars.
Okay.
Leave a parking lot.
Cue
The
some
parking lot.
Godfather music.
But let me ask you, the city make good money on the parking lots anyways. Just as
Those are
economic.
private
City
parking
just made some good money off of me.
lots. Let's hear about that after we
Just
remind
wear that
people
booth like a,
that they
like a
learned.
real
You're listening
nice
to
outfit.
Friday Pundits, Pundit Friday on WNHH Radio, State Line, New Haven. I'm your host, Paul Bass, with Joe Ugly, Markeisha Ricks, Rodriguez Reyes, Harry Joseph.
And I want my view to stay. I'm serious
Now,
about it.
Babs, tell
Don't
us
cut
why
out
you weren't
those
here.
squares for you.
What happened with your car, Babs?
I got it.
What
I
happened?
had unpaid
That's
parking.
when you have unpaid parking. They immobilize your car.
Yes.
So you're going.
I didn't realize I had that many parking tickets, and I didn't have time to like comb through and make them. But what they put on the paper and what he totaled up was not quite accurate, so I ended up paying less. And I admit I did have parking tickets. I had no idea it was that many.
So you found out at 10 o'clock that you had parking tickets.
Yes.
How did you get back so fast?
I went over there, I paid it, and came back.
And they let you get your boot back that quick?
Well,
They'll come and get- they'll come and get it.
they said within a half hour, so I figured,
So you
You
went
get
to,
like extra time on your parking since you pay.
no. And then this is what the guy said. Make sure when they come and take the boot off that your meter is paid.
Oh,
so that's
man.
200 Orange Street you had to go to pay.
Yeah.
Where were you parked?
I'm parked in front on Elm.
How did you feel when you went out and you saw the boot in your car?
Oh, I was pissed
No, I
off.
thought it was
So how do you feel
175.
now if stepping back and thinking about it? Was the right? Is the city right to do that or not?
I mean, you know what? I'm never going to say, listen, these are tough economic times and the city has to do what it needs to do and people ought to pay their parking. And in the intellectual side of me understands that I should have paid my parking
Stay
tickets in
there,
a timely
stay there.
manner. But the
Stay
emotional
there.
me, I
Just
was
stay there.
mad as a cuss.
It's so interesting to me the way people get about their cars. Like if they think you touched their car.
Right. It's not the
Or that if you ticketed them, they
Right.
feel this personal
Very
violation.
Personal violation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what it is?
I've never
It's
had-
like if someone
Like,
walk
I
up
got
to you and
something
say,
to
And then they put that stupid sticker mess on it, which you have to
Yes.
get that off.
See, I want them
It's
to
like
collect
public
more from
shaming a
parking
little
tickets.
bit.
I actually want to see there be more, and not trick you.
What?
Like I like that they make more options so you can pay more easily, like remotely with your phone. As long
You
as they make it
can.
easy to pay.
You can
can
pay
pay.
with your Park Mobile.
Can you
So
pay
as
your
long as
like?
they do that, I'm all for
the
them
boot
collecting
though.
revenue. Normally, you
You
can
gotta
pay
go
the
over
First
same
of all,
thing.
Yeah,
I
you have
think
to go
it's
over there.
very
You gotta get
unfair
cleared by
to the
the tax
businesses
people.
here in New Haven. I mean, I could understand before at 5 o'clock, but now they're taking you all the way till 9
9
o'clock.
o'clock.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
You know, that is
What
not
is
making
that?
the city
Any more
business
money?
friendly, and
That's not
especially a lot of the restaurants, they have to,
To
they
make up the
can't.
shortfall of the money for this stuff, I'm telling you, you need to tax bikes.
Wait, slow down.
Yeah.
Because I was just about to say, no car, no problem.
Tax walkers.
Bikes need
Tax
to
bikes for what?
That's right.
No, if you own a bike,
You walk on this part of the side.
Oh,
No,
but
if you
I
own
would
a
just
bike,
get,
you
look,
should pay
I'll just
50
give up
bucks a
my
year.
bike. The city's getting bike share. What are you saying?
So Joe, are you gonna? So
Well, how do
Joe,
you
And then
justify?
I would pay 50
But
bucks a year.
you know what? How do you justify it?
You see,
And I
this is the
can't for the
violation
life
that
of
Paul was
me
talking about.
I pay my
understand
state
it.
income taxes.
First of all, if they give you a $30 ticket and you don't pay it in 15 days,
Yeah.
it becomes $60. And then if you don't pay it in 15 days after that, it
Yeah,
becomes
90.
$90.
Also,
You know,
yeah, 90. Something
so-
like that.
so
so
then
how about just paying your bills?
No,
paying the
but
ticket when
sometimes
it
you
becomes
forget
50.
you forget to pay them, and because
Is that the city's fault?
no, it's not the city's fault,
But-
but it's just that
but
it multiplies.
that kind of a
no,
percentage?
It's, no.
that kind of a
No,
percentage.
I don't know,
what,
this
it, what it does sound like, a double jeopardy, But however, I think the way to offset, really, however, I think the way to offset that is to tax bikes. If you
No.
charge the bikes
And walkers.
We're not. Wait, just
$50,
so
I don't
Joe
think the
knows.
parking
Wait,
spaces.
Marquisha, we're not going to dignify Joe's bike thing. Next thing we'll be going over some
No.
questions.
Oh,
Tax-
now
tax
you're
bike.
not going to dignify that.
Right, tax bikes and walkers, because aren't they emitting more carbon dioxide
I
into the
pay
air when they're
taxes.
walking?
I've already been checked.
I think you should have a carbon tax on you guys.
I'm gonna start.
you know-
I'm gonna get a skateboard then.
And a carbon tax is from the guy who's president. Just nullify
pull
the
out
carbon.
That's right, I'm playing by your rules. You see?
If you really play by
But-
the what? Why?
No, but let me tell you, let me just
You
say
go
this
to
because
Amsterdam and they tax
because
bikes,
Paul
you know?
sounded like an elitist right there when he said, well, why don't you just pay your bill?
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, because some people can't even fill their tank.
True.
Okay, and then they come
Over here, Mr.
downtown.
Republican.
Come on, Mr. Everyman. Let's
Wait,
hear
wait a
it.
minute.
Every man.
Wait a minute, I'm fighting for the everyman because
Don't.
let me tell you,
I gotta hear this.
let me tell you this because
He's been hanging
Democrats
around me.
Democrats stand on their pedestal and talk down to everybody, but they're not everybody. They don't even
No, I
get
agree
to
with you
touch
on
because
that.
a lot
I
of
agree with
Democrats
you.
are
I agree with
elitists.
that.
All right, so wait a second, Harry. So you're arguing that
liberal
people
leaders
shouldn't.
in
Wait.
Thanks.
So are you arguing that people therefore shouldn't have to be charged with crimes if they break other rules? If they're hungry, they steal a loaf of bread.
Well, just like you argue that immigrants should break the law every day, Let me tell you something.
Exactly.
If I show up downtown and I can't afford to pay my parking, I should be able to just take out like a sticky and write, today I decide not to pay my parking tickets because I can't afford it.
You know,
So isn't technically the city saying,
Yeah, come on,
that's
people.
fine, you
We're
can't
for the
afford it today.
we're for the everybody, right? The one in the lower class. Paul just said there's no middle class. So what is Paul saying? That only the rich should park downtown?
No, the rich should pay their ticket. I'm saying that if some kid goes to school, Harry,
It's like bars.
we should have enough money for a school lunch or books for kids in school. So if other people, especially often coming from the suburbs, that's who's often parking here, right? It's not just Babs. A lot of people come from the suburbs. If they're coming, if the suburbs people are coming and they're trying to park for free in our street and break our rules, I want their money so that people can have their schools paid for.
Okay.
And I
how
know
about
I'm
how about
poor.
those who can't afford it? So they shouldn't come downtown, Paul?
They should.
Are you saying they shouldn't come downtown?
Nobody you think they should have paid
So
for
you're
parking?
I was gonna say they do come down.
Because you know what's hilarious? I hear all the time how this is it's such a melting pot. And if you stand on a certain corner of a street, you see all types of people passing through because they can't afford to be here.
Okay, that's fair, but Harry, do you think people shouldn't have to pay the meter?
Everybody should have to pay, right? But if we're gonna follow, we can't just pick and choose the laws, right? So if we're gonna follow this law, which harms a lot, look, let me tell you.
I didn't have $365 to pay today, but I paid
Right,
it.
exactly. That's what I was just gonna say. You think it didn't harm Babs today to pay that money? It hurt.
Oh,
But that was the penalties that hurt.
No, it's not just the penalties. It's actually coming to work and some guy coming out of the storm drain and hitting you with a ticket before you even turn around to pay.
That's why I can't afford to drive to work, so I don't.
Well, you see, you walk to work because you choose to walk to work. There's people who actually have to walk miles, and then you have those who just have
2.5 miles.
no, and then you have those who just have enough to come downtown in their car to get to their. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
And to get to their $9 an hour,
It's 10-10.
okay, job, and then you're gonna hit them up for tickets.
But you know what? Let me tell you something.
I just want to thank Harry. He did not say the word Obama. It was killing him. He was trying to bring it to Obama.
And Obama. Obama. Let me tell you, we were talking about when the middle class started disappearing. It wasn't 20 years ago. It was 8 years ago.
Oh.
That's just anymore.
You had me, Harry, until that.
I was with you.
But you know what? Talking about
Well, why do you feel sorry for the businesses?
look at because I happen to
Because
be
I'm
in
a business
restaurants.
owner. And I'm a
Why
business
should
owner.
people pay the
Hello.
parking?
No, you know what?
And then
It's
till
amazing
9?
what
That's
happens.
crazy.
Have you seen the transformation? What is it when the butterfly changes?
Caterpillar.
The metamorphosis
Yes.
that takes place in individuals when they have gotten a ticket.
I know. Oh.
And they want to kill the person that gave them a ticket. I remember one day I got a ticket
One day,
and
remember
I was
this
so
week.
furious. I went home. I
Me
went
was last
home and
week.
I'm over there complaining to my mother. You know what my mother says? You know, they have to eat too. This is the way they make a living. And the truth be told, if I was one of those meter maids or meter, whatever
I'd be
the
good
males
at
are
my
called,
job.
I'd be over there competing as to who gave the most tickets.
I kind of missed
The
that.
city might hire you over that comment.
Well, okay.
Wait. And I just want to say one thing.
Solution to this. You guys
You know,
just don't like
It was
the
mentioned that
solution.
New Haven is
We're not
successful.
going to dignify that.
Really,
You're
it's successful.
dignified.
That's why it has to actually,
Successful
regulate
compared to
more
other
tickets.
cities. Successful compared to
compared to other cities, right? But you have them giving tickets till 9 o'clock, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
You know how many times when I was putting together this this station, I had to keep running down every 2 hours.
So why don't y'all park in the longer term parking?
Because it costs more.
No. But it's more expensive than the ticket?
When I used to
No.
drive, I parked in my just a bunch of blocks down
Yeah.
State Street. It was free, and I walked up.
Oh,
Not
you're-
anymore.
Oh, you
You
one of
don't
those
find any
parkers.
free.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
nothing
think
free.
that's
There
Now
are.
now
No,
those
it ain't
places,
free.
you don't, if you're not
It's
resident,
on
you
the
can't
side
park.
of where
No,
American
no,
Academy
no, no,
is.
Well, we could all agree that Babs should not have been charged. We can just agree with that exception.
Yes.
Babs, you know what, Babs? For real.
And if
I
anybody
Why
wants
can't
to-
she do some community services?
Babs.
If anybody can reimburse me $365, I'd be.
You should do a
Or
GoFundMe.
go fund me.
Is my mic even on?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Boss just ignoring you.
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
Do you hear yourself? That's the question.
Fight people about your money. I'm telling you. I don't know why they're getting away
Marquise, do we
from.
bite at this or we just leave it go?
I
No,
leave my
you
bike
should-
at home. We getting a bike share. I'm good.
No, I don't know why the bikers. Why do
Shout out to
Why
bike
should
share.
drivers?
David.
Why should drivers of bike sharing?
But what about that
I don't
truck
know.
with all those bicycles that were
Why?
going down the street?
Why is it
Oh,
that
Oh,
only
we can bike and drink beer.
car drivers? only drivers are the only one being penalized for getting to work. This is wrong.
That's true.
I mean,
So
what
you're saying
about
people shouldn't, there should be no paid parking?
No,
Well, I'm getting
no,
penalized. I
you
pay
need
state
it.
taxes for roads I don't use.
Well, so do drivers.
Everybody does.
Drivers do the same.
Exactly. So why are we having this conversation?
So we
Because
shouldn't. So we
I-
shouldn't be paid paying
I'm not
fine
saying
on
we shouldn't.
parking
I'm
either.
just saying.
Because
You know, parking should be free
Given that
downtown.
No,
Slow down.
it should
Slow
not.
down.
I don't know if
Given
it
that
should
I am
be free.
It should be
single,
free.
I
Pay
don't
your
have
taxes.
kids. I
Yes.
don't
You
You
shouldn't
own
have
a
to pay
house.
tickets
We're gonna
either.
go. We're
I
gonna
still
go.
pay state taxes. Quit playing.
But let me ask you a
But you
question.
know who doesn't
I don't
pay
get
parking
any-
tickets?
We
So
Know
don't
who
I
doesn't
don't
have
get
to
any
put money on
deductions
meters?
for a home because I can't afford one.
But you know
I
you
don't get any deductions for a kid because I ain't got none.
Okay,
Stop
so,
playing.
so
you know what
you
I
don't really
just-
think that the kid who's getting an education and going on is
But
gonna
I
help
still
your
pay.
community?
I pay taxes.
But you-
I
but
gladly
every-
pay my taxes.
but-
I just shouldn't
but
have to pay an
every-
extra.
But guess
tax on my-
what card
But
does
we're
not
paying an
have
extra
to
now.
Oh,
pay
let Babs
at
let
the meter? Guess what card doesn't have to pay at the meter?
City.
If you have an
Employees.
electric car or a
Electric car.
Prius, you don't have to put
See?
money
And guess
in
what
there.
else?
Oh, I
Elitist.
have a Prius.
Are you serious?
Guess what else? And that's wrong. I'm
Elitist.
against that
That's
policy.
totally wrong.
So I have a Prius.
Well, don't change it until I get my car.
Yeah.
I got a Prius, but I never. My wife drives it. So if I'm downtown,
Are
once in a
you
while-
serious?
See?
Prius get away with
Elitist.
this?
Yes.
They
That's what I'm
should
talking
let.
about.
They should
I'm
let
writing the word Prius
residents
on the
of
side
the
of my
city of
BMW.
New Haven
Are you
pay
kidding me?
no meter parking. Let all of the non-residents of the city of New Haven pay meter
But
parking.
what about these businesses you love, Norma? They're going to say that's who my customers are. Now you're telling them not to come in.
No,
Because we have to double it on them. Because the money has to come from somewhere, folks. If you don't want to have
Exactly.
property taxes go up even more,
Two-wheelers as well.
then you.
You charge motorcycles.
I'm not a motorcycle.
Well, I'm why?
I'm not a motorcycle.
Why is it such a problem to pay? Let's see if it says.
But
Marquise,
you know what? I would be willing to give up my bike over something like that. I would
Marquise,
just,
he's baiting us.
I
No,
know.
I
know.
I agree with Joe. And I don't agree with Joe and
At all.
Joe's keeping a straight face, but he
At
knows
all.
he's baiting us.
I am not dating.
I'm not studying him.
Listen, I've been in other countries that where they do charge to ride a
They
bike.
should
They
Amsterdam.
put these Amsterdam. They
Yeah.
have these little badges on the bikes right on the fence.
But then they give everybody
But what do
free
I?
pot.
But what do you? But in Amsterdam, what do you get? Because I would want all bike taxes to go into a specific bike pedestrian fund for building bike lanes. Off road, we can get off your little bumpy
But
roads
then
where
here
people
they-
trying to kill us
So then
anyway.
when you pay your regular
Put-
taxes.
I'm with the governor. I want a lockbox fund on my bike taxes.
Okay, why do people? Let me ask this question. Why
So
do
y'all
people
don't
always
raid the
come off with
fund.
this?
So
Or
y'all don't raid the fund.
why do
How
people
about that?
always come off with? I want to know exactly where my money goes. And half of these people play the lottery anyway. Any money collected from the government is a tax. When you pay the lottery, you don't know where that money is going to. Then some of it goes to education,
Actually,
some of it's
you
general
should know.
Earmarked is
some of-
supposed to be.
No, it used to be earmarked for
No.
education. They moved it.
Yeah, it moves around.
And that's why
So
you
it's-
want to know, because we know that the government raids when they are in a
But what
deficit,
we
as
also
we
know-
are. They raid their funds.
We
to pay
also
their
know.
bills.
We also know that you listen to Pundit Friday on WNHH Radio, your home for community radio,
People are mad at us for all
102.5
this argument.
FM, live streamed at NewHavenIndependent.org. Hey, so what do you think about the new Hill House?
What about it? There's a new Hill House?
You-
No.
The new house.
I'm new. I'm a few news behind. So.
Okay, Hill House is rebranding itself as
Oh Lord, what?
Hill House.
Oh.
Now, Hill House, if you
Hill
remember,
House?
if you remember back in the 60s and 50s, Hill House was known nationally as one of the top academic schools in the country. It used to be that the more academic-minded people went to Hill House, and the more trades-oriented people
Hence
went
the
to
name
Wilbur
Hill
Cross.
House Academics.
And the sports teams are called academics. There's been now what happens is a story this morning by Chris Peak in New Haven Independent that it's sort of the last choice you go to Philhouse. When you're going into high school, you get to be your first choices for schools, and the city tries to give you one or two, Board of Ed, and so many people can't get in because nobody wants to go to Hill House. That Hill House ends up getting all these people who didn't want to go there. So the principal, Glenn Worthy, who I think I'm hearing is doing a very good
Yes,
job
he is.
last year trying to turn this place around.
Yes, he is.
He's saying we're going to make the academics describe not just our sports teams, which are doing great, but we're going to make it describe the school. He's got some new program to get people ready to take AP tests well. They're going to start working on them in the summer. And he wants to pitch the parents who are skeptical to want to apply. And this is part of a larger Board of Ed strategy that there's so much tension, so fraught. We have this lottery every year. You're talking about lottery, Joe, about what school you get into, and everyone wants to go to charters and magnets. And they want to make the other schools good enough that people will truly have choices rather than, you talk to someone saying, like, I'm moving out of Westville because my kid can't necessarily get to Edgewood down the street because this whole lottery thing. Because there is this panic among parents in New Haven. You kind of feel like there are a few schools that are good and the rest are really not. And I care so much about my kid, I can't see him going anywhere. Do you think that Hill House can pull it off? Do you think it's even needed? Do you think maybe things are better there than people think?
No, I think that, like you said, Glenn Worthy is doing a good job over there at actually bringing the school forward. Didn't Hill House have a couple of kids went to Ivy League this year?
Yeah.
So that's part of their testimony, and that needs to be highlighted to the parents who are concerned about where your kids are going. Guess what? We put 2 kids in Ivy League. What? So that if that don't look like a path to advance, I mean. Nothing. You see, people get in their minds too that Ivy League is the crime, but it tells that it is based on the ratings of schools. It shows that you put kids on a path to go somewhere, and that's what Glenn Worthy and Board of Ed should be pushing, and that will sell Hill House. Because I'll tell you right now, people in the suburbs hear that, you'll be surprised. They'll be dropping their kids off at Hill House.
It's interesting. Several people want to go to Wilber. Of course, now let me ask you this.
Oh, you think they won't? Trust me, I know for a fact they will.
It is interesting to me that maybe
Not in Waterbury,
Ross
Harry.
and Hill House flipped about which is the more academic school. Maybe that's not bad.
Excuse me?
Just Hill House and Cross, their reps flipped
All right.
over 50 years. Now
Right.
Cross is seen as the one, even though this isn't the whole majority of the school, is the one if you have kids who are academic, I think you want them to go in there. Unless you have specialized, like Baptist kids go to Common Ground, which is supposed to be a great school, where you have sort of the right fit for the place at a smaller school. What were you about to say, Markeisha?
I was thinking one thing on Joe Ugley's point, and this is not in any way a knock to Hill House, but like I'm curious, the kids that went to the Ivy League schools, and we know one of them is Cora Ortiz, who's an amazing student.
Mm-hmm.
But also, are you just an amazing student? Were you already on that trajectory,
Exactly.
regardless of where you were at school?
But the bottom
She
line
came
is,
from foot school. She obviously has something
Yeah.
going on at home.
but however,
And I don't
you
knock that.
will,
But I'm just,
yeah.
I'm
But,
just,
but well, I understand the transition over. That's a good student as such. But if you can have a good student to come out of there, then there can be more. Is my point.
well,
this
I
is
also
what-
think that there are ways in high school that you protect your top students, right? Like I got that in my own
So,
high school, so
but this
I
is-
was shunted
but
into
you-
AP classes, so I'm not in the general population. It sounds like prison.
And you
I'm not in the
know,
general
that's
population.
exactly what I'm talking
But
about.
at the same time, in my high school, you had kids like me who were in AP.
Mhm.
You had kids who were in quote unquote college prep. But I think the more that you can show that all of these kids have a trajectory, that they're going to college, that they're
Correct.
going to trade schools, that they're ready, because the forum that Babs moderated, there was a lot of talk about
This week.
New Haven schools in general, about there being either a perception or a real problem of the ability of kids to come out of New Haven public schools and feel like I'm ready for the next step.
Right. But that's not just here in New Haven.
And that's not just Hill House, that's
that's a
the
little
entire
There's an elephant in the room here, and it's not very far from Hill House. You can walk there and not get taxed by Joe's bicycle tax. And that's Amistad High School in Dixwell.
Yeah.
That's a charter
Yeah.
school,
Right.
hedge fund money, right?
Right.
So that's where you get a lot of those motivated kids who they tell you you're going to go to college, and they kick out the ones who can't. But then allegedly, but they get a lot more kids to college. A lot of working class African American families trying to get their kids into that school. That's where they want them to
That's
go. They don't
because
want
they
them to go
have
to Hill
branded
House.
this school as being such a safe haven for your kids, and that's
what
just
Hill
a
House
brand.
is doing by rebranding itself,
And
which I
that's
think
what
is
it is.
great.
It's
Like you
about-
have
What
to
about
take that
branding? But
perception.
what about branding versus reality?
No, but exactly, because over there, I look at that school as a pathway to penitentiary. I don't care how you look at it. I'm the first to tell. You got Mr.
But they're
B-
creaming. They're getting the kids who really
Exactly.
wish for a Hill
Of
House.
course. You should know it's nonsense in that school. They got B.S. Carson on the picture up there. I mean,
No, but I don't
Benjamin
think
Carson.
parents are
You know,
stupid.
it's-
I think they know what they're doing.
It's not about
They want their
stupid,
kids to
Paul.
go there
It's
because they
not-
feel the kids are going to do better.
And why do they feel
It's
that
a
way?
small school,
Because
right?
it's a brand. Because at the end of the day, what's going through those kids? I had a couple of kids over there who will tell you they really hated their parents forced them to go there because they believe that it's going to be a better place. But as far as the social being with these kids, I watch how withdrawn some of these kids get. Okay, they're communicating with others. It's either over aggressive or it's very pulled back. I've watched it over the last 2 to 3 years. Kids who have been around me that go to that school. I've heard nightmare stories of kids who are going back to wetting the bed at teenagers. No, because they're concerned about if they're going to get demerits because their pen, they drop a pen. Or if they cough in class. One person got in trouble because they were smiling. It's like, for what? You can't smile? What kind of nonsense is that?
Can I tell you about an email I got?
So therefore, so parents will hear this, let's be disciplined in school. It's like if you hear a football team telling you that we make sure that our kids play real hard and they're very focused, but you're not paying attention to like, well, yeah, that sounds like a real good football team for my kid to go play, but however, you ignore the fact that they don't let the kid go over and drink water when they're thirsty, they could be dehydrated and die.
Can I tell you my favorite?
Don't be so dramatic, okay?
I'm being dramatic. That's the reality.
Can I tell you
It's
quickly
happened,
before we're going to
but
wrap
that's what
up?
has happened.
Can I tell you my favorite news I heard this week?
Oh, what's your favorite news?
A couple of years, a year ago, I went to California to see my best friend from growing up, and he was going into hospice. He had a brain tumor in the back of his head they couldn't operate on. And sweet guy, I love the guy. He's brilliant, a big heart. And this was actually the year before last. And he said goodbye to everybody, and he was in hospice. And then at the end of the year, they said, for some reason, we can't figure out why it's not growing anymore. You're kicked out of hospice. So he was like, and I was very
He's the
proud
only
of him.
person to ever graduate from
He
hospice.
graduated from hospice. So then he was around, and he was like working half. He actually started new companies, doing stuff in Silicon Valley, and he, but he was still kind of sick. And now they just told him,
You're not sick.
you're not going to be on medicine anymore.
Whoa.
And for some reason, it got smaller. And he told me that the year he was in hospice, California had passed a law for assisted suicide, but it hadn't gone into effect yet. And he said if it had been the law, he would have done it
Oh.
right now. But
Oh.
because the law hadn't taken effect yet, he was waiting, and then he found out he had a second chance at life.
Wow.
Now, we could talk about that for an hour, but I thought I might just leave it hanging there.
Oh, you really left a real cliffhanger on that. Please, let's talk about that next week.
Okay, then that means people are just gonna have. That means people are going to have to rejoin us next week here on
Absolutely.
Thunder Friday
Follow
on
up.
WNHH
That's
Radio.
amazing.
I just wanted to say that with you guys. That's
That's
my
a
favorite
big
news story
one.
of the week. And
Great,
I love my
great
friend
news.
Jeffrey. He's a great friend.
I'm glad you
And,
better, Jeff.
And that means you get to go see him again.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
So thank you for joining us today in Dateline New Haven. Thanks to pundits Babs Rolls Ivy, back from the boot. And I do think it's a huge injustice that she should have to pay those tickets.
We're going to put that on the GoFundMe.
I'm going to go full of her favorite liquor.
Markeisha Rips,
That too.
Norma Rodriguez Reyes, bravest man in New Haven, Harry Drost, and the man
Harry
of so
dropped
many
the mic
titles
today.
that we can't do it twice in 1 hour.
Thank
Joe.
God.
Yeah, thank goodness.
We're going to take it out with the
Haters
Afro.
gonna hate.
We're going to take it out the Afro-Semitic experience performing I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free from the group CD A Plea for Peace. Now we know what it's like to be free. We just got to remember to book our flight. Book it and fly free with us all weekend long at WNHH, New Haven's home for community radio.
Yeah.